It's a bit risky and it's a bit scary starting a business. The likelihood of success really skyrockets if you're doing something you already know how to do well versus starting something that you've never done. I think one of the things I didn't do and wish I had, I was very much like lone wolf, gonna start my company and do this thing on my own. When really you need people around you. From the get-go, you need partners and people, and they don't have to be legal business partners. What I mean by partners are like people with synergistic skills, like you and me, Mike, right?
Right.
We don't offer podcasting to our clients, but you could help our clients with podcasting. You need other people around you who are professionals to support your clients. And you need other business owners to kick ideas around and learn from.
Welcome back to Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Mike DiCioccio, and we are without my co-host, Raghu, today. Don't fret, though. I have a feeling that we'll still have an incredible episode because we have a friend of mine on the show today who I have a ton of respect for, and he's going to over-deliver with great insights today. Hey, no pressure right, at all.
None.
So here we go, guys. Check this out. He has over 20 years of experience, and he's been at the forefront of driving revenue growth for accounting, finance, and professional service firms. His expertise is actually in CRM, marketing, and sales automation. He's helped organizations from 1 million to 1 billion in sales and scaling their revenue. And we're excited to dive into some strategies for accelerating growth for both small and mid-size marketing businesses today. Welcome to the show, the founder and president of Ninestone Partners, my friend, Alex Polamero.
All right, Mike. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Super excited. You and I have known each other. How long does it go back now? Is it like 3 years?
A couple years. Yeah. A couple years.
2-3 years.
2-3 years.
And I've been wanting to get you on the show for a long time. I'm super excited to have you here. You come with a wealth of knowledge. I set you up there. You know, hopefully your head doesn't float away after that
Right.
intro. But I really wanted to have you on the show for a couple reasons. As a friend, I respect you as, you know, knowing what you mean to your family. You're a great dad. You're a great husband. And I know you put a lot of time and effort into being a great dad as well as you do your businesses. Today, we're going to talk a lot about your business and how you started it and the strategies. But, you know, I respect people who are not just great at business, but then at home, they're not the greatest person or someone that you're really not proud of. For today, I can really celebrate you all around, brother. So thank you for being on the show.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, the love is extended right back at you, right?
Yes, sir.
You got to spend time with those you care about.
Yeah, 100. That's why we do it, man. And Simon Sinek always says, talk about your why or understand your why. You and I talk about that. We've been in Convene doing networking for a few years as well. And we talk a lot about our why and our purpose. So definitely know you're on purpose. And so what I'd like you to do is actually get us kicked off, man, right out of the gate. So I want you to share what inspired you to start Ninestone Partners and what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in the early days. So actually share your entrepreneurial journey with us.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I've actually been working with CRM solutions for 20 years, like you mentioned, and wanted to start my company all along. So my dad's side of the family is Greek, and we have generations of entrepreneurs. So this is it's kind of like in the blood. Always wanted to run my own show, that kind of thing. I actually consulted with just like kind of side gigs for 10 years before starting my firm. So I always felt like I was honest and gave my full effort to whatever company I was working for, but I would wake up at 4 a.m. and work on a project till 6 a.m. or I'd work on a project from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. in the evening. And I did that for like 10 years prior to starting my company. And that was a real grind, right? At some point, you got to kind of jump ship into a business full time. But there are two things that I really wanted to do. One, Ninestone Partners, the idea of Ninestone is that there are 9 fruits of the Spirit. And these fruits of the Spirit are things like peace and patience and kindness and gentleness and self-control, love. Okay, check it out. Those tend to be what I think are universal truths, right? Across faiths, across cultures, people experience these things as good things in their lives. And I was really good at making companies money, but I wanted to start a company that would also kind of manifest these things in people's lives. If I had a good team, right, then we would feel joy and peace, right? When we're good stewards of our time and resources, we could be generous, right? We could be patient with our clients, all these things, and make companies money. So that's the idea behind Ninestone. And
well, I just want to jump in there too, because a lot of times when I talk to someone, I'll get a cup of coffee. Man, tell me about your business. When did it start? Sometimes it's like second, third generation, and they don't really understand the brand, right? So like, what does the name mean? Is it just a name? Is it something quirky? Does it actually have some significance? And with you just outlining that it actually was thought out, it wasn't just a cool word or a name or coin phrase or something. I think it's really important because really a company follows behind its brand, right? So that's kind of like the head of it, and it's like a snake. Like the rest of it's going to follow. If you have kind of a lousy or you're not real clear on your branding, then how does the marketing really support it, right? So I think that's really cool that you have it like level by level like that. Really cool.
Yeah, so there's like 9 fruits of the spirit, and stone being the foundation of the business. So I'm with you, but one of the mistakes, I'll skip to a mistake because you brought it up. I didn't put that out there soon enough. Like I didn't tell people on my website what Ninestone was all about until 7 years into running the company. And that was a mistake. I should have told people exactly what we're all about, why we believe in what we believe, and I should have done it from the beginning, right? I always had it in the beginning, but I was afraid that if I put that out there, maybe it's too philosophical or too religious or too something, and people wouldn't be attracted by that. And what I've found is the exact opposite. When you have a sense of meaning and purpose behind a business that is more than just making other companies rich or richer, right? Then people are attracted to that. They're attracted to the ethics and the morality of that.
Yeah, and it's also like the personality. Like a brand is a lot of the character of a company too. So whether it's said out loud or felt or identified, like you just said, with the whole connection between Nine and the Stone and how it all it connects to what you're talking about. Like, yeah, and one thing that's great about what you just said is you didn't realize it until it was a few years into it. But that's why we do these podcasts, is because we can talk about things that we've learned personally. And now we're getting it out into the universe so other people can hear it. And now they're 9 days into their business and they're like, oh, damn, I'm going to make sure that I'm really clear on my branding and making sure it's in my messaging on my website. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm also not going to be afraid about this is who I am. I'm a man of God. So maybe if some of that language is on my website, I'm not so scared about it. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it helps attract the types of clients that we really want to work with. We want to work with ethical, good people who care about other people. They care about their business and the community locally and at large, right? So we put that out there. And working with those people has been energizing, right? The more you attract the type of clients that we want, the more energized we are to support them. And the more creative ideas we have, all kinds of good stuff comes out of that. So, yeah. But I started my company because I was a Marketo expert. Marketo's like a enterprise or mid to enterprise level version of HubSpot. Works a lot with Salesforce. And I was one of the first experts in the world using Marketo in the real estate industry anywhere. So I became very good at a technical piece of software for marketing and sales automation and thought, okay, now I'm ready to start my own company. And I went out and got a couple contracts, people who said, sure, I'd love to work with you. Before I even started my company, it was a verbal agreement, right? And then I started my company. My employer said, hey, Alex, you're not leaving us. You're just moving off campus. And they gave me contracts to keep doing the work I was doing for them with Marketo. Which I'm very grateful for. And they've been a client ever since I started my company. So I started a company with a technical expertise, which is how many, many entrepreneurs start their business. And one of the big challenges is I didn't spend any time thinking about how to run the business before I started it. I just started it. And what I found is
that's a great thing, though. That's a great thing.
Well, it is a great thing. But yeah. I went from what I thought would be like 50% of my capacity is full when I start my company to 125% was full because I got a bunch of contracts right away.
That's incredible. Well, the reason I say it's great, just as someone's like, why is Mike saying that's great? Because a lot of people, they get too theoretical and they theorize about what I should do to get into business and what are the 17 things I need to implement before I start. And you just said, I started and I was full right away. Like I had contracts. Now, not everybody's going to have that blessing, but you had to start and you wanted to start and you started and you had the ability to just roll with it, which is incredible.
Yeah. One of our clients, they're two brothers who are actually serial entrepreneurs. They have started and sold 3 companies successfully. And the thing that they told me before I started my company was, I was basically talking to them and saying, hey, do I have a valid product or service here? And they said, well, we don't know. Why don't you go sell it? And I was like, what do you mean? They said, go sell it. If you get somebody who wants to buy it, then you have a business. And I was like, okay, hey, do you guys want to buy it? And he goes, yeah, we'll buy it. I said, okay, great. You're my first client. And that was my first verbal agreement.
Yeah. Hey, that takes some cojones, and that's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but most important to all of this too, Alex, is you actually knew what you were doing, right? You were great at something. And so again, for our audience here, it's a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, as people who are looking to level up. A lot of times they may not realize they have a superpower, and you did, and you identified it. Some people have one and they don't identify it yet, so. And a lot of times they'll find you, right? Like podcasting found me. This was not something I planned. I didn't theorize. I didn't intend on. Podcasting found me. I fell in love with it and I turned it into a business. So back to your story. But yeah, absolutely. Like you took advantage of knowing your superpower.
Well, yeah. But you did the same thing. It's a bit risky. So, and it's a bit scary starting a business. But it is so much, the likelihood of success really skyrockets if you're doing something you already know how to do well, versus starting something that you've never done, right? Because there's so many nuances to these things in life. I think one of the things I didn't do and wish I had, I was very much like lone wolf, going to start my company and do this thing on my own, when really you need people around you from the get-go. You need partners and people, and they don't have to be legal business partners. What I mean by partners are like people with synergistic skills, like you and me, Mike, right?
Right.
We don't offer podcasting to our clients, but you could help our clients with podcasting. So I just refer you, right? And you may not do CRM, you could refer us. You need other people around you who are professionals to support your clients. And you need other business owners to kick ideas around and learn from. So I spent at least 3 or 4 years feeling kind of lonely and isolated. People say that as entrepreneurs. And once I realized that, gosh, I can do this with other people. I can put people around me that do adjacent type of work. I can share ideas. The pie is not like a scarcity model. It's not like just trying to get my piece of the pie. Right. And be competitive with everybody. It's more like build the pie bigger for everybody. There's more work.
How can we all have dinner together? How can we all be at the table together, right?
Yeah, that attitude, it took me a while to get there, right? It took me a while to shift from I'm competing with everybody to no, I'm actually trying to help everybody win. And that was a game changer for our business. So this idea that you're all by yourself, no. The other thing is if you have a spouse or a partner or family members, they're a big part of starting a business. Like my wife and I decided I'm going to start a company, but the backup plan was her working full time. Like, if it didn't work, I had to go get another job. And so a lot of times I felt like this was my thing, when in reality, this is a we thing. This was for our family. Our family made this happen. She's as much a part of that.
So she was success. On board from day one with the idea of Ninestone. And did you say that she also worked with you?
No, she definitely. No, man. My wife and I
didn't think so. I mean, like I said, I've known you for 3 years. I've never heard that part of it. But
my wife.
So I just misunderstood. I misunderstood what you said because you're talking about together. From day one.
Yeah.
Day one, you said like she's a partner. But again, it's not necessarily directly in the business. Obviously, she's a partner supporting your business, supporting your dream, and obviously your life partner. So
Yeah, but
all right, so
money,
just a
like
misunderstanding.
when you think about money, right? Somebody has to, like, if you start a company and there's a period of time where you don't have as much income coming in, you have money going out, let's say for expenses for a business, then how are you going to cover that? Savings, somebody else in your second, somebody else is earning income. What is it, right?
Yeah.
So my wife's an entrepreneur too. She owns her own company.
That's awesome. What does she do?
She's a licensed clinical social worker, and she owns her own counseling practice.
Very cool.
Yeah, which is super cool. But no, we don't work together because we drive each other bonkers.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that does, I feel like, work for division. Now, there are some entrepreneurs, husband, wife, that work great as a team.
Yeah.
I just think you have to know if that's something you think would work. But there's a beauty of she's doing her purpose, her superpower, you're doing yours. You guys get together at the end of the day and can talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be always directly. I want to make sure that we're benefiting from you being on the show today, like at the highest level. So I want to learn a little bit more about CRM. So I want you to share a specific example of a CRM or any marketing automation really that significantly transformed a client's business. So you don't have to name the client or give out an exact case study, but share a story about how that's made a difference for them.
Okay, we have lots of those. So I'm going to give you a little context. We at Ninestone have used many CRMs. We are a partner with HubSpot, with Salesforce, with Microsoft Dynamics, with SharpSpring, with Go High Level. We have been partners with Pipedrive, with Keep, which used to be Infusionsoft. And we've used many others like ActiveCampaign and Nimble, Insightly, Sugar CRM, Zoho. We have core expertise in CRM. There's a couple of key things that can change a business's ability. Let me get these are some general statistics, and I'll bring this back to a specific business. About 3% of your prospects out there, most companies' types of prospects are ready to buy. So Mike, if you're chatting with somebody, right, about 3% are like, yeah, I need your services now, right? And you probably have that pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
There's another 60% or so that will buy over time if they're educated about your service and get to know you. They just don't need you now. Now, what most companies do is they only follow up with the 3% they're ready to buy now. And everybody else, they keep them in a spreadsheet or they don't keep them at all. These are small businesses, right?
Right.
They're missing out.
I'm guilty of this. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've worked in sales. You know that if you don't follow up and nurture these people down the sales funnel, you are missing a big opportunity. And if you're spending money to get those leads, you're wasting money. You're throwing out money that you spent, kind of thing, right? On leads that didn't convert right away. So a great example is an accounting firm that we worked for. Okay. They had Salesforce. They had a number of different partners in this accounting firm. They had Salesforce. No partners were using it. They had a team of marketing people. None of their marketing people except one knew how to use Salesforce. So they migrated to HubSpot.
It's like almost the same thing. I mean, totally different, but like if you don't know how to use Salesforce, what makes them think that HubSpot's going to all of a sudden magically do something?
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, you nailed it. The idea was that HubSpot is more user-friendly.
You hear this more user-friendly. You hear this way too often, though. Like, oh, we're just going to get the new shiny thing. That'll solve our problems.
Yeah. And that doesn't. So HubSpot is, I think, more user-friendly in a lot of ways. But when we came in, we just did a quick audit. Now, this was a mid-market company. They had, and this was during COVID. Okay, before we even started to optimize their HubSpot campaigns, we just wanted to see how many leads do they have and how many are they following up with. This company had 2,000 leads a month, which is a lot, and they had
were they getting them from?
They had only followed up with 73 a month. So out of 2,000, they said that 90% of these were qualified. And only out of those 73 they were following up with. So a CRM helped them. We built out campaigns so that now all those leads are going to the right partners, the right sales process, everybody's getting nurtured, et cetera. Right. And that translated.
So they were doing something right. They were creating leads. Mm-hmm. So they must have had something in marketing, some kind of lead capture, but they weren't doing anything once they captured it. So they had somewhat of a system built, but it's like a swimming pool with a hole in it. They were just like, everything was coming out and they weren't really working with it. So
yeah. So that's
okay. So now they're working with you. They're using HubSpot. You're someone who does training in HubSpot too, correct?
Yep.
Like your team will actually. So you're not just doing it for them. You can also train their team how to do it too, or do you do?
Yeah, we'll onboard HubSpot if they need it. If they already have HubSpot, then we will optimize HubSpot and train their team to use it, both the marketing team and any executive level folks that need to use the CRM.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, let me give you another example that might be helpful. A small company. Okay, this was an attorney. So an attorney was going to lots of networking events and was meeting all these people. And all these people were in Outlook. But that attorney then couldn't follow up with these people over time. A lot of the people he was meeting would refer him business. But over time, he had so many people in his Outlook account, he just stopped communicating with all of them. He couldn't just run a quick easy list of I want to know everybody I've met who's this type of referral possibility, who can connect me with this, and I'm going to send them an email about this new service or types of cases that we're doing, the things that he could share. So we built out a CRM solution in HubSpot for that person. Now everything is in HubSpot, and now he keeps up with hundreds of people that he's meeting. And the referral business started to grow. More and more referrals, just because he's communicating in a more personal way with people who are giving them referrals. So that's that's a simple kind of example about how to just get more referrals. You just need to follow up with people.
So, I think you just hit on it. I was going to ask you some of the more common mistakes that companies make with B2B lead generation and how can they avoid them? I mean, that was kind of one of them, but is there any other lead generation that is kind of, you've seen it over and over and over again, and you can educate our audience on some of the things to make sure they don't have those same pitfalls?
Oh yeah, totally. So here are a few of the keys, right, that we see all the time. So one is we need more leads. People hire us, we need more leads. And one of the first questions we ask is, do you need more leads?
Yeah.
Or do you need to do a better job with the leads you get? So let's say from paid advertising. If you're spending money on paid advertising and you're getting leads, right? You want to make sure you do a good job with communicating with those leads and educating them about your services and products. If you're not doing a good job, we don't want to spend more money and just pump a bunch more leads into the funnel only for your company to not do a very good job, which impacts your brand and your customer service and everything else. You got to fix the process down here with how you nurture leads. So we'll fix that and improve that. And then we look at all the channels to get more leads into the funnel. Do you need to go to more events? Do you need to improve your referral and cross-sell, right? Do you need paid advertising coming into the funnel? Do you need to do webinars? Whatever it may be, there's lots of different channels. So it's not just always about getting more leads. It's about being effective with the leads you have. The other thing is people say, we want more leads. What they're really saying is we want more qualified leads. Sales teams do not want more leads. Like Mike, if I said to you, hey, I'm going to give you 5 qualified leads and you're likely to close these versus, I'm going to send you 300 leads every month and they might, be junk. How are you going to feel about that?
Think of it like food. I'm going to give you a filet mignon or I'm going to give you 1,000 Tootsie Rolls. What would someone want if they're hungry for a great meal, right?
It's totally that, man. Yeah. So marketing's job is to help qualify leads more effectively before they ever get to the sales team. Another thing with CRM that many teams miss is that a CRM is designed to hold sales team members and marketing accountable. So If we send 50 leads to a sales team, the CRM can track how many of those have been called. Where are they at in the funnel, in the pipeline? What stage are they at? How many need additional calls or nurturing, right? We've worked with a lot of companies that didn't have any of that data, only to find that their salespeople would say that they followed up and with every single lead, but didn't really. So we worked with one company where we audited, they had 100 salespeople. We audited every single one of their different sites, like locations. And we found that between 20 and 85% of all leads never got a follow-up, not even one.
Yeah.
And it varied by site.
I'll say this, man. I'll interject real quick. I used to work in insurance sales, right? So you live and die by your CRM. And that's where I really learned it. I mean, I also worked at Sleep Number, and both as a sales rep and a store manager, and we had lead generation as well, right? But a lot of that was like foot traffic coming in, and now you're following up. In insurance, man, it was like you had to go and find everybody. It was like the hunting situation. And then once you had them, insurance is very much like on a schedule. So people are paying 6 months or 12 months, as you know, and like your X dates, the expiration date of their policy would be a great thing. Follow up 3 weeks before, whatever, have the conversation. But I was not when I was young as an insurance agent, I was not the smartest guy, and I admitted it. Like, I didn't know every line of the insurance document inside and out and memorized or anything crazy like that. My thing was I was just a beast with follow-up, follow-through, and like just delivering and having a fun and great conversation with people as best I can. So it wasn't a horrible, like nobody wants to talk about insurance, so you have to try to make it a little bit fun. And that was a superpower in itself, is to make those conversations more entertaining. But yeah, if it wasn't for my CRM and the company providing like, a system in place and then training behind it, I would have been like, with notebooks, and I don't know how I would have been. I would have definitely not been as successful if I didn't work my CRM.
Yeah. And that's super true. Another thing that people will say to us, well, is email still important? And the answer is yes. People still respond to email. So why not use email more effectively? But what people want is personalized communication. They want to know that you as the service provider understand their problem and can help them, right? From a genuine perspective. They don't want cookie cutter messaging that's way off topic, right? That seems
I love when I get like
cheesy.
An email, it's email automation, and it says like Mike, hey Mike, but like Mike is accidentally still in like parentheses, or like something is off about it, in quotations or something. And it's like, obviously something's wrong in their automation where it didn't properly fill. So you can tell it's totally just cookie cutter. And then nothing in the message has anything to do with interest of mine. It's just, this is what the company's rolling out,
Yeah.
So,
here's like when I send email messages, let's say I want to cold prospect somebody on email or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm going to find somebody really targeted. So we work with a bunch of fractional CMOs. A fractional CMO is somebody who serves as the CMO of a couple of different clients, and they kind of break it up. Well, we refer them business and they refer us business. So I don't email them and say, hey, can I get business from you? I email them and say, we work with 30 different fractional CMOs, and in the last year, we've brought 6 or 7 deals to CMOs. We're looking for additional relationships to refer business. Would you like to chat about it for a few minutes? And they're like, yeah, I want business.
Here's the value I can bring you. Let's see if there's something you can bring me, opposed to just vomiting. Here's what we want from you. Yeah.
Here's what
and
we
it
want from
still
you.
happens. It's 2024 and I'm still getting vomited at every single day. I just had one before jumping on here.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I bet you there could be something here we could do, but I'm not responding to that now.
Yeah.
It's like I used to respond to everything and try to be the nicest person possible. But now it's like I'm realizing that's a waste of time because they didn't make the right effort. So why should I respond? It's almost like telling them that it's okay to do that. And you don't want to, you don't want to give them good feedback when it's not really the right way to do things.
Yeah.
What I want to do real quick, we're going to take a quick break here to give some love to our sponsors. And the whole thing is I'm going to talk about Navigator bookkeeping. And the whole idea that you and I are talking about here is hire a professional to do the thing that you don't know how to do. And that's what businesses really need to do. They need to hire a marketing person or a CRM. So back a few years ago, I hired my friend Nate. I believe he had me on his podcast and I learned about his service. And that, there you go, talking about networking. I was on his show and then I'm like, tell me more about Navigator bookkeeping. I realized he could do all my bookkeeping for me, prepare everything. So when it comes time for taxes, I don't have to dive as deep. And then I meet with him every single month and I know my numbers. I know how much it's costing me on expenses per team member. I know all of our overhead expenses. He moves things in different buckets. Like if there's a personal expense that needs to get peeled out because it was put on the same credit card. Hey, that was actually dinner, but that was a family thing, not a company thing. Like he has it all organized and outlined. That's the stuff I hate doing personally and also should not be doing because I need to be driving the business forward and working with my team. So right there, it just talks about hiring a professional. So that is Navigator Bookkeeping. And you guys can go to navigatingyourbooks.com. That's also clickable in the show notes. So shout out to Luann and Nate over there. And I appreciate you guys taking good care of my books. The other sponsor is Social Chameleon. Now, Alex, you're pretty familiar with Social Chameleon. That's my podcast agency. We help transform your podcast. So if you have a show that's existing right now and you guys are simply like recording it on Zoom or Riverside, and you don't know what to do with it after, and you think just putting it up on YouTube is the end of distribution for your podcast, well, we'll help you make it look better. We'll help you actually package it in a way so people are going to go and find that content. We create micro content, and that's the way to drive people to the full-length audio or video podcast. So check out socialchameleon.us to transform your podcast. All right, so back to you, AP. I got a couple more great questions for you. Before I know you got to run, talked about you being a great dad. You're picking up your daughter from school in a couple minutes here, right?
Yep, you got it, buddy. She likes it when I'm on time.
On time, yeah. I struggle with being on time. I think you probably know that I'm always the last one in our convene meetings when we were meeting. And so, yeah. But I appreciate that. But hey, man, being recognized as one of LinkedIn's top 100 influential leaders, that's a pretty damn good achievement if you ask me. So share some strategies and most effective ways to build a strong presence on LinkedIn. And guys, I don't think it means to just dump people's DMs with a bunch of marketing garbage.
Yeah. So I just got a message from LinkedIn this week saying I've been on LinkedIn for 14 years. I think that's what it said, which seems like a long time for a social platform these days.
You were like one of the early adopters. I'm probably right there with you, actually.
Yeah. Right when I was like deciding LinkedIn or MySpace, maybe it was.
Well, LinkedIn, like it was literally just a digital resume.
Yeah.
Right. And it was really just a place where recruiters would scope out your resume, and every time you won an award, you'd put it on there. And then I was getting hit up. That's actually how I got a couple of the jobs I just told you about before I became an entrepreneur was on LinkedIn. I started at a job, I'd place my, here's all the awards I'm winning in sales. And then all of a sudden they're recruiting you in all these different industries. But now it's a much better place for posting everything about your business, connecting with people, networking. But what are some strategies that you personally use for Ninestone and then also that you've seen implemented for your clients that have helped?
Yeah, so one of the most effective strategies, I appreciate the question, is, it's just pretty old school in a sense. It's organic, using LinkedIn in an organic fashion. But organic, what I mean is like just reaching out. We use LinkedIn Sales Navigator a lot. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the professional sales tool LinkedIn will show people more of their data. There's a bunch of filters where I can find the right kind of target audience and then simply message them to connect, invite them to connect with something that's meaningful, right? Related to their business. So Mike, if I were to reach out to you, I'd say, Mike, like I own Ninestone Partners. We've been in business for 7 years. A lot of our clients have a need for better video and podcasting services. We don't offer those, and I'm looking for somebody to help me, right? And maybe there's synergies there.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm
connect.
jumping on that call.
Yeah, you'll connect with
connecting.
me, right? And then I will send you a follow-up message. Says, here, can we book a meeting? There's a little trick there. I can send you a meeting link, but I often say, hey, Mike, are you available at this time or this time? Or grab a time on my calendar. That little adjustment gets me a lot more meetings because I actually took some time to look at my calendar. It just looks more personal. Now, it takes more time, but I get more meetings.
So you're saying right there, you say, hey, I can help you out. I'm looking for a partner that actually can produce podcasts for businesses. I see that you do that right now. So I think you'd be a good fit. You leave it at that. And then if they respond, hey, Alex, thank you so much. Like, I think this actually would be something cool to talk about. Then you respond to that saying, hey, I got Tuesday at noon or Thursday at 4 p.m. You give them the two options because if you give them 9 different options, it's going to take all day to figure it out. So you give them the two options, they pick one or two, or they give their best time anyway. So you kind of get there no matter what, which is cool. But so you don't say like, hey, once he or she says they're interested, you don't think just here's my link and you pick a convenient time. That's not a good strategy.
I actually do both.
A mistake. Okay.
So it's good to send your calendar link, but it's a little bit
better.
Just
taking out the whole. You're not playing ping pong then, right? That's kind of why.
Yeah. So the way I do it is a nuanced version of that. I say, hey, Mike, how about this time or this time, or grab a time on my calendar, if that's more convenient. Now I've given them all the options. Right. But just because I spent a little more time giving you real times, not just my calendar link, some people think of the calendar link as a bit flippant. Hey, Mike,
like
nice to meet you. Here's my calendar link. Nice to meet you. Here's my calendar link. Right. It feels a little like, really? Do they really want to talk to me? On LinkedIn, there's a few strategies that have really worked for us and for our clients. It is much easier to get referral partners on LinkedIn than to get direct to business.
That's a really great point, man. That's a great point because your ultimate goal is to drive more revenue, but are you trying to do it directly to the person who's going to purchase, or are you getting new business from referral partners? And I think that's the magic of LinkedIn. And I've experienced it personally where that's where you just meet great people. And then if they're in your network, I know you're out in LA, so if they're out in the area and you can meet them for coffee or lunch or dinner, then you could do that and build that relationship even further. But, most people are pretty cool with Zoom and just jumping on a virtual call to really build. And you and I have done that aside from some of our masterminds that we've been in. That's I think right there, that's the gold nugget of this episode. If people are paying attention, make sure you're utilizing LinkedIn. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I know you have to run to be on time. I got one more question. And maybe you can give one more piece of insight. But marketing budgets are something that it's a hot topic. A lot of people don't know either the percentage or how they should really evaluate what a marketing budget is. I'm actually not sure myself personally, like, is there a rule? Is there a raw number that you should know? Or does it matter what your business is and how much you actually have in cash flow? Like, how do you actually help your clients when they're maybe just getting into spending on marketing and you're like, man, you guys are making like, $300 million a year and your marketing budget's like tiny. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, there's a variety of ways to approach that. So one way is to say, okay, well, what can your business afford? What do you want to spend on marketing to invest in marketing? And then how do we max that out? So for us, it's much easier, Mike, if you said for your business, hey, I'm going to spend X amount of dollars. And Ninestone would say, here's how we're going to apply that money. Here's how we're going to invest that money in marketing and sales. Most clients don't want to give us that info. They don't want to give us their budget, or they don't even know it, right?
Yeah.
So we will say, okay, what types of clients are you trying to get to win? All right. They tell us, how much is one of those deals worth, or one of those things you sell? How much is that worth? And what is the lifetime value of that client? So I'll give you an example, like a bookkeeper client, right? If a bookkeeper signs me up or signs you up, right? We might say we pay a monthly amount to do our books. Well, we're going to pay them X amount of dollars. I don't know what it is. Let's say it's $3,000 or $5,000 in a year. Okay. But how long do clients usually stay with that bookkeeper? Let's say it's 5 years. So we're going to pay them $5,000 a year for 5 years. The value of that one client, the lifetime value, is $25,000. Right? We use that number to determine how much can we spend on different channels, different marketing methods to get business.
Right. So if they run an ad campaign to use easy math, and the cost to obtain that one lead and convert is, let's say, $100, and they make 25 grand over 5 years, that's the math that they need to be focused on.
Yeah, except that let's say they may have to get a bunch of leads. So let's say every lead costs them $100 and you got to get 20 of them. So that's $2,000. But every time I get 20 leads for $2,000, I know I'm going to make 25 or 50,000. Should I do that?
Because you convert 2 of them or whatnot. Yeah.
The answer is probably yes, if you have the cash, right?
Right.
And that could be one channel. But is that the one way, the one marketing channel that's going to get a client to their goal? The answer is usually no. You need a variety of different things.
Right. You need different buckets, not just all in one thing. But that's really good, man. So there isn't really a rule of thumb. I remember hearing back, when I started to get into branding and marketing and everything, 10%, 12%, 15% was thrown around a lot, like what your marketing budget should be. It's like, it really depends on more cash flow and also what your industry you're in. Like someone could spend smaller marketing and that maybe they're selling cookies or something, or they're a bakery and whatever, that like Facebook ads are crushing for them. And they can do it, whatever their budget looks like, opposed to running television commercial ads, which you and I know are going to cost a lot more, or why people spend $1 million a minute or more, a lot more for the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, there's a variety there. I think that's really smart.
A lot of companies are spending like 3 to 15%, but it really depends on how fast they want to grow and what type of industry, all that kind of stuff. We think about, in terms of spending money, is doing a good job with the ways that people get leads now. So, Mike, if you're out there talking to people and they're bringing you business, do a good job with that, right? Before you go spend lots of money. Okay. And because, it's like low-hanging fruit. It's right there, right? Just close the business that's right in front of you.
It's like giving your kid responsibilities, and they're not responsible with the thing. You just got them, a new video game system, but they're not taking care of it. Now they want a puppy. It's like, you got to show me responsibility that you can, you know what I mean?
And you can save a lot of money too. Like not just throwing money at advertising stuff or events or things.
It has to make sense. So there's a lot of people right now that are listening to this, and maybe they're watching it on YouTube, and I appreciate everybody who's with us, and thank you for tuning in all the way to the end here with Alex. And there's a lot of people that are going to be saying, hey, I want to tune in and get to know him a little bit more, or how Ninestone can help our business. So guys, I have that clickable in the show notes. We got Alex's LinkedIn, we have Ninestone's LinkedIn, and we also have his YouTube channel. Share 30 seconds on your YouTube channel if people want to check that out, and I know you got to run.
You got it, buddy. We're happy to help folks out, man. Share the love. Everybody wins.
Yeah, amen to that. I always like to end every episode with be great and be grateful, and I'm grateful for you, dude. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
All righty. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, this is like an intro episode. I'm going to have you on again, and we can take a much deeper dive.
Yeah, we could totally. There's some things, right? A lot of companies, a good example of that, and I know I got to go, is just that we're using a tool, Mike, that is awesome for people who can't afford HubSpot. They can't afford HubSpot Pro. Right? Yeah. And now we have a tool that's way cheaper, a CRM that does all that same stuff that you love, and it's not HubSpot Pro. And it's, a third to a fifth the cost. So, and we can spin it up 10 times faster. So it's pretty awesome.
There you go. Well, we're still rolling, so that's included in the episode.
I didn't even know, man. That's awesome. But I get excited about this stuff because there's small businesses who want the capacity of mid and large enterprise companies, and we can bring them tech that enables them to grow at scale, accelerate revenue growth that's affordable. And that's been one of my goals for a long time. So, I'm pumped about being able to do that and happy to share that knowledge with folks.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on again, brother, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Alex, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mike.
Keep on moving.